Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2019. Ghost Recon Breakpoint builds on the series' tactical action by adding a diverse array of environments to explore and enemies to destroy. I'm James Jack Dawson Duggan. With me to discuss Breakpoint are Matthew Tompkinson and Grace Our Lady of Ubisoft, plus IGN's very own Tom Marks. Thanks for joining me, guys. All right, I'm going to get it started. Matt, I just want to ask how Breakpoint uses Wildlands as a platform to improve what we played of that game.
We got lots of experience out of Wildlands because we released like 2 years ago with lots of title updates. So we were able to see what players love and what they didn't like. But really, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is a totally different experience. Here, we really wanted to explore another side of the Spec Ops aspects. And it's the reason why you have to endure like injuries. You spend time in the bivouac, lots of time here to live as a Spec Ops, but not only fighting.
That word, because this one caught me up when I first heard it. Bivouac is basically, I had it described to me as pretty much military camping. Is
that's
that,
it, absolutely.
That's fair?
Yeah.
What does that actually entail from a gameplay standpoint? What are you doing there? What does it allow you to kind of customize?
So what we wanted to do with it is to have a moment of relief in the gameplay where you can spend time to plan for your next attack. So if you're alone, for example, it's a moment where you can craft items, where you can also prepare, like you can drink some water, you can choose different buffets in terms of gameplay. And you can change your class also, so it's really a moment where you prepare for the next battle. And when you're in co-op, it's also a moment where we wanted the players to be able to discuss and choose. And since now we have a class system that you can use, and it's a moment where you can discuss strategies with other players. And I think it's very good to have that and have not only the fight where you go gun blazing and have a little moment of respite for that.
So Grace,
Yes.
what we're seeing right now is very indicative of what we saw in Wildlands, but there is this whole added element of enemy variety. Can you talk to me about all the enemy variants happening in Ghost Recon Breakpoint?
Yeah, so we've got a lot. We've got some very distinct sort of enemies that you'll be able to face. So we've got things like the Heavy, which obviously they are heavy in terms of armor and very tough to take down. And what we really wanted to do was create more tactical experiences in terms of how you approach these situations. So like Matthew said, with the bivouac, you know, you're planning for these encounters and these situations, and then as well with the enemies, once you see what you're facing and you've done the recon, then you can make these strategies based on sort of how your team is composed and what your play style is, that you can really engage with these different types.
And has gunplay, or how much has that kind of changed throughout that too? Are you going to be fighting these new enemies in a similar way to Wildlands, or have you guys made adjustments there as well?
So I don't know if you want to go.
As you want. The thing that we wanted to bring is something where you have more reaction from the enemies. So now they are very much more aggressive. They will more surround you. They are more organized. When you are spotted, they will investigate to the different places where you were your last known position. And there's lots of means for you to play with them and to toy with them and really see the different reactions. But also you have to react. And another archetype that we bring is the rusher, that will go towards you, and it pushes you also to change your position from the cover that you have, so that you have different moments in terms of strategy.
So there's all this drone variants happening. I fought a tank that was super, super fun and different than something I experienced in Wildlands, but there are also human enemies that are very, very different, and I'm referring to wolves.
Yeah.
So tell me about wolves. How do they differ? Do they have some kind of like different AI that make them feel more like a player?
So the thing with wolves is that they are former ghosts. So they are really the best of the best, and that's I would say, the most dangerous enemies that you have in a game that are human, because they stay human, even we call them wolves, and they are Spec Ops. They stay human. And the thing is that when you are navigating in the wild, you can be spotted by some drones that fly very high in the sky, and they can attack you. And they attack you when you don't really know you don't really imagine that they are going to come for you. So that's one of the aspects. But also, they are the ones that are defending the most dangerous places in the game. So when you go for wolves, you have to be prepared to fight for the biggest battles that you've had. Except for the drones that you've seen in the demo, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so go ahead, please.
No, but it's true that with the theme that we are developing here, we have the opportunity to develop a much bigger threat that here is different, because here the enemies are still a one bullet kill if you shoot them in the head. So it's still very at heart what you got in Ghost Recon Wildlands for that. But the drones can be a very much dangerous threat because they have weak points, you have to organize, they are very heavily harmed, and it's something that where you can both use all your experience to upgrade your weapons, use all of your skills, all your items against them, but also when you play in co-op, it's a very good opportunity for you to surround them, flank them, make sure that you all shoot towards the same direction. If you make one part of their armor fall, then you can communicate with your friends, say, okay guys, there's one part here, let's all shoot there. And we've seen from the different players during the pod, in front of the pods, they had lots of fun fighting all together against the drones.
How much variety is there in the actual types of drones you're fighting as well? Because I know you mentioned, James, you fought the tank one,
yeah.
and then there's like these little car guys, there's some flying ones, but how wide does that go?
I mean, it's pretty wide. So, you know, what's really cool is that you get to sort of see how these civilian drones that Skell is making sort of impact the lives, and you see how they were really trying to shoot for this World 2.0 sort of environment, and how to automate sort of daily tasks, you know, and stuff like agriculture and farming. And then you have these huge military drones, so like the Behemoth, which is very tough. I don't know.
Big as we're seeing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
That's big.
So that one's definitely very challenging. And then we have, to me, the scariest one is the scouting drone that goes up top, and then you have to go into prone camo and really sort of hide yourself before they spot you.
Me.
Exactly.
All right, so we glazed over this, but I got to come back. Classes. The progression in Wildlands was a little bit more freeform. There's some different things you could do, but there are finite, well-defined archetype classes. So Matt, tell me about those, and tell me about these like kind of ultimate-like things they have.
So each class comes with a class technique that is something that you can use when you play really in style. Like, for example, when you are a Panther, if you kill enemies being very close to them, undetected, you will raise your gauge, and when it will be filled, you will be able to use it. And you use the most useful technique that a Panther has is vanishing, becoming totally invisible using the smoke grenade. And it's something that really, it's almost like you have to be in role play to use it. And also, every class comes with a special item that is specific to this class. So, for example, the sharpshooter has something super useful for the recon. You can use an item that that allows you to spot every enemies, and it's especially when you play in co-op, it's really useful because you can communicate with the other ones. Okay, thanks to the one that is on top, you can really spot even the ones that you weren't able to spot yourself. And also, every class has specific proficiencies. So you'd be more deadly with long-range weapons, with the sharpshooter, for example. The Panther will be more stealthy. So it's great that everyone has the possibility to play still your own play style, but you announce it. And when you play in co-op, it's very useful to understand how the other players want to play. So if you decide to go Panther for yourself, maybe we'll do a group of Panther, the 4 of us, for example. But you can also think, okay, you want to be stealthy. Myself, I create a distraction with playing Assault on one side. So it helps to communicate all together also.
Mm-hmm. So it's not kind of classes in the sense like you might think like a class-based shooter where you want to have one of each class and it wants to be very varied. You can mix and match how you see fit.
It's really up to you if you prefer. I think it's funny also to do one group that is only Panthers and be all stealthy. I think it can be a very good way to play also. And so it's really, you have to choose. So I think it's really up to you.
And it's worth noting that you can change classes.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that you can do in Bivouac. Yeah, and you still have a shared progression. You have a specific progression for your class by playing in style, and you can unlock specific things that are linked to your class. But of course, you still have a global progression that will stay true. It doesn't matter what class you choose.
For sure. Shifting gears entirely away from combat, There's this thing with George Lucas in Star Wars where he identifies one environmental attribute and makes an entire planet, like just a desert. This is the opposite of that. Aurora is like this every single ecosystem on the planet. So talk to me about the environmental diversity.
Oh, it's stunning. It's beautiful. You can, I mean, there's going to be snow. There's dirt, which doesn't sound that exciting, but when you can cover yourself with it, I gotta say, it becomes a very cool thing to explore. We've got sand, we've got beaches, we've got mountains, we got jungle. I mean, we're covering a lot of different biomes.
It's with the games that we develop, we like them. We like the environment to be the star of it, and the island here, we have put lots of love in it, and it's a place that is at the same moment very beautiful. That brings lots of opportunities because now you can get lots of elements to craft items that will be useful for you tactically, but also it's very dangerous, very harsh, and you can see how you evolve in it. When you go downhill, you will feel some fatigue. You can stumble. It's something that. We wanted the connection of the main character even stronger than in the previous games we've done.
And what about the survival elements within that environment? Are things, you mentioned slopes, but are things like weather going to affect you? How does that stuff come in? I know you don't have to drink and eat actually to survive. That you guys made clear, but what about how does the environment play into that?
The way we approach it is more like the environment is opportunities. So it's true that the slopes can be dangerous for you, but it's more like some places you can hide. And as Grace said, using the different environments for prone camo is something interesting. But you can also get water from rivers to drink. And the way we approach is more, rather than putting you maluses when you don't do it, it's more you get bonuses out of it. So it's really like your spec ops, you know your environment, you know how to use it, and you will get stronger thanks to it.
Fantastic. Matt, Grace, Tom, thank you so much for joining me. Ghost Recon Breakpoint launches this October on Xbox One, PS4, and PC, but don't go anywhere. There's still plenty more to come on IGN Live at E3. Hey,